No, it's kind of telling that out of the entirety of the resetting Xbox message that was sent out to Xbox employees globally, not once was id Software specifically mentioned during the course of the article. The overarching parent studios, ZeniMax Bethesda, was mentioned, but they played a little coy with the specificity of what they were doing to id Software. I think on some level, they must have been aware of how poorly received that news was going to be. And don't get me wrong, it's bad news all over. The scale of the layoffs is terrible on all accounts, but drilling down to id Software, a studio that is very near and dear to my heart, what they've done, the ramifications of it are just staggering to me. And thanks to a few articles that I've been pouring through here, courtesy of Video Games Chronicle and GamesBeat, the scale of it has become much more apparent. What we're looking at here, in no uncertain terms, seems to be the death of id Software in all but name. So, taking it from the top, id Software, including remote workers, have suffered a total of 136 layoffs. That constitutes over 50% of the studio headcount from what's been reported. Now, it's been spun a few ways that these cuts are more, management layer reductions, cutting the chaff, cutting bloat, becoming more streamlined, the Xbox reset. But what they haven't really brought to light is the fact that they have gutted practically all of the creative, technical, foundational parts of id Software. And now it's basically hollowed out. It's brutal. And this isn't just me saying that. This is from an id Software developer saying that they've effectively been nuked into the dirt and relegated to support studio size. Reading a few quotes from Derek Best, a former VFX artist at id who worked on all three modern Doom games, he mentioned, he was in shock at how brutal the layoff cuts were. Collectively, decades of knowledge were wiped out of the studio, and the VFX team was eliminated down to one single artist with no lead or producer. The engine programmer responsible for the massive gains in VFX pipeline improvements, like all of the particle editor work, was let go as well. All devs that had Houdini knowledge for procedural modeling or cached animations were wiped out, so all the work for Doom the Dark Ages in that program has gone to waste with no one to carry it on. He concluded, "Great job, Microsoft. Nothing says business success like nuking a team into the dirt and relegating them to support studio size while also throwing out massive technological achievements." What's even more galling is this is hot on the heels of a big, significant release for Doom the Dark Ages, that being Revelations. In fact, this news was announced before the DLC officially dropped. That is horrific timing. And I think it's worth repeating here, but a studio is the people that work within it. They work together for years, sometimes decades, build up experience, familiarity with the tools, they bounce off each other, they formulate new ideas, that the skill sets are invaluable. Experience is something you can't quite replicate in this realm. And what they've done is say, nah, we're good. Take a hike. Oh, that engine you've been using and iterating on year after year, that's pretty damn good. Yeah, we're going to swap it out. Maybe for Unreal. Oof. Yeah, it's just easier. It's easier for us to bring people on. We probably can pay them a lot less as well. And handily, Unreal seems to leverage into all of these AI tools that we've been pushing so aggressively of late. It's callous, is what it is. In another LinkedIn post, id VFX artist Todd Boyce criticized the timing. Yep. Said, "This is what insanity and despicable corporate greed looks like. What a complete disregard for people who spent months working unpaid overtime to make the DLC and for an engine that has consistently been the industry standard for performance. It's pretty insulting how it was done, when it was done, and what it will do to the id brand and for those who are still employed for now." Because yeah, what do they do? I mean, not too long ago, Hugo Martin was even laying down a few post-Doom ideas that they had at id Software. One was some kind of neon cyberpunk John Wick gun fu type deal, which, as a word salad, fine, but as something that id Software could potentially dive into, yes, please. There was even talk of them picking up Perfect Dark, a property that I personally think is cursed at this point in terms of getting a continuation going. But if anyone was going to have a good shot at it at this point, yep, id Software would be a lovely, lovely choice. And there was even a third, but I'm getting a little hazy on the details because there is just so much. But yeah, going forward, everyone, well, most people, are going to be aware that the id name is no longer reflective of what id was. And that's an astonishing loss. To build up that name with such talented people and then tell everyone that the people that made the name and maintained the name over all these years are now gone. What's the plan, Asher? What's the plan, Asher? I know you walked out with a big old smile on your face, committing to how much you care about Xbox as brand. But how about the people? Yeah? While you were there giving out the good PR and saying all the right words with a smile on your face, you had one hand behind back with the sharpest of daggers. And you have plunged it so deep. And probably without anywhere near enough thought for the ramifications of what you've done. It's baffling. This is the thing that gets me. I try to rationalize this. I try to see the plan, and I just see idiocy. I see wastefulness. I see throwing away perfectly good, perfectly well-performing games, studios, and for what? What does this reset truly achieve other than cutting costs at this point? But yeah, overall it's pretty goddamn dumb. Pretty goddamn stupid. Big old dunce caps going on over at Xbox. They truly don't seem to understand what they have, the games that they could be leveraging, the talent that they could be utilizing. I don't know, I feel like we've been here before. I feel like Xbox has pulled this in the past and continues to pull it again and again and again, and I think you're washed. I think you're done. You're chopped. You're unk. And I don't really feel all that compelled to engage with anything under the Xbox banner going forward. Not that I was really all that enthused in the first place. But yeah, all I can really say is let's all pour one out for id. Let's offer all the support we can to those who have been affected by these layoffs and hope that they land somewhere that's going to utilize their skills much more effectively. I also hope that someone takes the suggestion of John Romero under strong advisement, that being, back up any valuable stuff that's, worth holding on to, because it would be a crime to see this stuff just mothballed, be consigned to the dustbin of history. End of an era, truly is. It was a damn good run, and it genuinely did not have to end here. Fuck you, Xbox.